Hi, this is Lady Lex UK, and this is the third part of my inventory system. Today we're going to be having a look at the quest part. So let's go into test mode. Okay, so if you remember, when I go into my inventory, I've got three options: weapons, health, and this area here. It says you have not collected any quests. So if you can see, there's a white box that's appeared that's not in the other menus, and this is where a quest image is going to appear, and over on the right hand side is some text, but we haven't collected anything at the moment. So let's come out of our inventory system, and over here I have a quest. Now the way I've done this here is I'm going to interact with these logic cubes, and that will pick up the logic cube and put it into my inventory. Obviously in your game you'll probably have a quest giver, and there's going to be some interaction, some talking before the quest is handed out, or maybe the quest will get picked up when they open a chest or something. So you will need to do some different coding in order to pick up, but the initially what we're going to do is we're going to pick up a logic cube. And that will put a quest into our inventory. So we're going to pick this one up and go into our inventory. And now we have a quest. It says "The Kingdom Awaits." That's the title at the top there. There's an image, and it says "Open the gates beyond the forest." So there's my quest that I have to do. And over here is another quest. Let me just pick this one up. And we'll go into... There it says "The Kingdom Awaits," and now you can see there is a D-pad up arrow. So I press up, and there's my second quest, which is the magic fruit. And I can spin. Sorry, pressed the wrong button. I can spin backwards and forwards between the two, and if I had more than 2 quests, 3 quests, 4 quests, it will just loop round the number of quests that I have. Right. Okay, so let's go back into our world. Now, the next to that cube we picked up was this coloured cube here. Now, this is the end quest. I've finished my quest. The quest is over. So this little cube here, this is going to end my quest. So I'll press that. I'll go into my menu, and as you can see now, I still have the magic fruit quest, but the Kingdom Awaits one is finished, and it's no longer there, and I've got no D-pad up option to do. So that's what that does. And if we have a look at the quest, it says collect the enchanted apple from the tree. So we'll go over to the tree, and I can pick up the apple. Now let's have a look at my quest. And instead of ending the quest, it's actually extended the quest to another part. So it's still called the magic fruit, but now I've got to find the cider factory. So let's see how this works. Okay, so first of all, let's have a look at these logic cubes. So this is the way that I've got the player to pick up that cube. Obviously, it probably won't be as simple as interacting with something, but like I say, but you must have at the end, when the quest is given to your player, it must be put into the inventory with a "it pick up me" or "player pick up me" or whatever. So in all of our logic cube quests, it says when started to be held in inventory, the owner, so whoever has got it in the inventory's quests, are incremented by me, and this is an object set of quests. And these logic cubes are going to act as our quest objects, and they are going to be our quests in this set. Right, the display text. This is the text that describes what the quest is. Then you've got a display title, which is the title of the quest. And then we've got a display number, which is a number 1 for this particular quest. If we look at this one, this is logic cube number 2, this is quest the magic fruit. It's exactly the same, except we've got a quest part. So we start off with quest part being 1. When the quest part equals 1, then the display text is this. And our picture is going to be number 21. I'm going to give it a number. It's 2 for the quest number 2 and 1 for the first part. That's how I've done that. Quest part equals 2. Then display text equals find the cider factory. Part pick equals 22. Display title equals the magic fruit, so that's the same for both. And our display number is equals the part pick. So before we had it was going to show picture number 1. This time it's going to show whatever the part pick number is, which is different depending on which part of the quest it is. So if we go into our inventory, if I can find it, it's hiding, there we go. Okay, so we'll go into part 3 of our brain, page 3, if we can get the brain. I've got the wall. There we go. So we got into menu number 3, and we've got a square, primitive square. That's the square where we're going to put the picture. That's going to become visible. And we're going to turn the special effects on behind our button for menu 3. And if not, then power is off and the visibility on that square is off as well. Right, we start off in submenu number 1. And we look at the players quest set count. And we say if there's more than 1 there, then we're going to display a D-pad next to the title. And we've set up a vector variable for the position of that D-pad. If the quest count is greater than 0, so there is a quest in there, then and you press the D-pad up direction, then our submenu, when it is less than the quest count number, then we're going to add to it. If not, that menu equals 1. That means we can go round and round and round our different quests as we had on the previous menus. It's very similar code for those. And if there is no quests, then we say you have not collected any quests, and we put that at the quest details position. Right then, for each of our quests, we're going to go through them, and if the current index is the same as the submenu, we're going to display, if the display number equals 1, we're going to display that picture. So this is quest number 1, image number 1. If display equals 21, we're going to display an apple, and if it's 22, we're going to display the rustic tapper. Now, I wanted to do it so that I created an object variable inside the logic cube and then displayed the image of that object variable, but there are limitations in Project Spark code, which means you cannot have an object in an object set if it doesn't actually physically exist. So the only way, therefore, to display an object is to display an image, and so this needs to be in this part of the brain and not in the logic cubes of each individual quest, unfortunately, which is why I've chosen to do it with these numbers. And I have chosen, instead of just going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you don't know which one it is, 1 is for quest 1, 2 is for quest 2, and then the number after it is for what picture, what part of the quest it is, 2, 1, and 2, 2. Okay, so you then display the whatever it is, whichever logic cube you're looking at, display title at the quest title position. Excuse me, I'm gonna sneeze. Nope. No, I'm not going to sneeze. Okay, it changed its mind. Right, then you've got display text. We've already seen those in the logic cube. They're all part of the logic cube logic. And here we have our positioning vector on the screen for the quest title, the D-pad, the quest details. And that's basically it, because we're following pretty much the same rules for everything that we have on here. So let's have a look at the cube that ended the quest. And I don't know if you can guess already, but what this does is it decrements the quest set by the logic cube, whatever quest it is. So for this one, for example, it is going to remove quest number 1 from your inventory. And that's all it does. That's all it needs to do in order to remove it, so that you don't have to do it anymore. So once you've finished your quest, you've collected everything, you just put this line, this single line here in, and that would be your player in this occasion, because we're doing interact, it's an it, but as long as it's your player and it's the player's quests, then that will work, and that just removes it from the inventory. And let's have a look at the apple. This is the second part. This is when we collected the apple. This has some code in that says when you detect the player, you check to see if the inventory contains quest number 2. If it doesn't, then none of this will happen. You can't interact with that apple unless you have this already in the inventory. And the reason you do that, of course, is because you don't want him collecting quest objects before he's actually collected the quest. I also think that sometimes in games that you can do that, you can collect objects and you don't even realise that you need them later on, and then you've already got them. I think it ruins the quest. So in this situation, it's just an apple on a tree until you collect the actual quest, and then you can interact with it. And then what it does is it changes the brain of that quest cube, the quest cube that has been picked up, but it's still an active brain. Remember that anything in your inventory with an active brain is still an active brain, and you can still change its code at any time. It is still active. So in this part, it's changing this number variable, which is the quest part, to number 2, which, as we remember, if for the logic cube brain, what that does is that it changes the text and it changes the picture, and we move on through the quest. We're destroying this apple rather than actually physically putting it in the inventory, because we don't physically need the object, but you could just as easily pick that up if you needed to use it later on. Let's say he needed to have that put in his hand or something, you would change it to do that. So there you go, there's quests. So that's all of my inventory finished. I hope that was of interest, and there are lots of ways you can do inventories in Project Spark, and this is one of the ways that I've chosen to do it. And there are other ways, but if you want any tutorials for Project Spark, if you've got any ideas about what you'd like to see, I've got some cool quests that some people want to know how to make Mario 64. I may be looking at that a bit later, but if you want anything, I'll endeavour to help you out. I'd rather be a bit more specific rather than just say, can you help me make X game? I'd rather look at individual game mechanics. So if you want to know how do I make a platform go up and down, that I can do. If you ask me how can I make Limbo, that's a little bit too wide. So I'd love to hear from you. So if anyone got any ideas about anything you'd like me to make, I will do so. And I hope you all have a great 2019. Right, thanks for watching and keep sparking.